Today on the Gold Standard.
Bonds had one of the worst years last year since 1871.
Mhm.
So, the party's over, folks. It was a nice joyride while it lasted. Right now, the risk in the markets of paper, stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, is as high as it's ever been. So I would encourage people to think about maybe a little bit more diversification and a little bit more safety because things are so stretched, because the bubble is so inflated. It's time to buckle down.
This is the Gold Standard from Midas Gold Group with Kenneth Russo. Hello, I'm Dave Deno. Welcome to the Gold Standard, your source for secure investment opinion and information on the advantages of purchasing and owning precious metals. Whether you're a novice investor or an experienced collector, this is the program that gives you a realistic weekly perspective on the state of the economy, reliable information about using precious metals such as gold, silver, and platinum to safeguard your wealth, and remarkable details about specific precious metal coins and bullion. Ken Russo is a senior vice president at Midas Gold Group. His peers characterize him as a straight shooter who will work harder for you than anyone else, and you're going to hear why they say that in today's program. Ken, it is a pleasure to join you. I've got to say that because it's true. It's a pleasure to join you again this week.
Well, it's a pleasure to join you too, Dave, and it's a pleasure to be able to speak to everybody out there.
You know what? I always not only enjoy our time together, but I always come away from our time together knowing a little bit more than I did before we had our talk. Our topic today is your personal gold standard. That's kind of an intriguing topic. Ken, with all of the, at best, confusing information about our economy, and at worst, predictions of an eventual collapse of our nation's economy, wiping out investment accounts and real estate values, it might be wise for us to take a look at our economy today and what financial insiders are saying about the year ahead. And we're going to talk about why a person might want to establish their own collection of gold to set their own economic stability for the future. First, the problem. I'm looking at an article with the headline, The Most Important Economic Questions of 2023, and it asks the questions, will the U.S. enter a recession? Will inflation subside? Will gas prices rise again? How safe is your job? Will you get a raise? And when will the stock market recover? So, Ken, just the fact that a mainstream article is asking those questions, I think that should raise some serious warning flags for our national and our personal economy. What do you say?
Yeah, and I would say, Dave, the real question to me is what is anyone going to do about it? That's the question. I mean, could we see a recession? We might already be in a recession, and it can turn into something a lot worse. Is inflation going to go away? No. Prices are never going to go back down to where they were 10 or 20 years ago. Never. Our dollar is always going to buy less. Our gas price is going to rise again? Absolutely. Because of all of the beautiful, smart decisions that our present administration has made regarding gas and regarding oil. Of course, gas prices are going to rise again. Is your job safe? Well, considering all of the tens of thousands of people who are being laid off recently, Dave, I would say no. And will the stock market recover? Well, earnings are a function of a rising stock market. Earnings are headed the wrong way. It seems to me like the whole system will eventually crash down. The whole system is a result of fake money, Dave, that's been printed the last 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Really, over the last 15 years, it's really gone exponential with the money printing. It's just disturbing to know that these people who are spending and spending and spending, our central bankers and our politicians, these people, Dave, are making decisions about our money. They're making decisions about how much our money is going to buy, how much is it going to be worth. And today's discussion is creating your old gold standard. And what that means is taking money out of the banking system, taking money out of the markets and out of the economy, and putting it into something that's private and something that you could hold on to yourself, something that's always going to have value, something that holds your purchasing power. And ladies and gentlemen, yes, we're talking about gold. Gold's been money for 3,000 years. 50% of the gold Dave ever mined has been mined since the 1950s and 60s. It's not something that you can just print out of thin air. And I would encourage people, instead of having all of those paper fiat dollars backed by nothing, I would urge you to have a substantial part of your nest egg for you and your family diversified into physical gold, coins, and bars, which we know, Dave, is the only way to own gold.
A reminder here that you're listening to The Gold Standard with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group. Ken, our topic today is your personal gold standard. What do we mean by that?
Well, not relying everything that you have, Dave, on paper fiat money, not relying on all of your assets being wrapped up in the banking system or in the stock or the bond markets. Paper assets are very leveraged. There's trillions, if not quadrillions of dollars worth of derivatives out there that we've spoken about many, many times. The paper markets are extremely, extremely dangerous. We actually saw last week that Bank of America customers, some of them woke up, their accounts were at zero. There was a Zelle glitch. I don't think that Bank of America is an isolated incident. I think that the whole system is just risky. I think there's a lot of glitches these days. There's going to be a lot of assets that are disappearing, whether if it's crypto, we have people making decisions. I'm just very, very disturbed that our politicians are making decisions regarding our money and regarding the system. It's our money, Dave, but they want to use it to run their system. So having your own gold standard means that you're able to hold on to a significant portion of your wealth yourself. And what that means is taking some of your paper assets, Dave, like some bank accounts or some from old 401ks, or maybe you have an IRA that's just filled up with bonds or stocks or mutual funds, and the account's bleeding. I had a client that came in yesterday and they had about $400,000 in their IRA about a year and a half ago, and now it's down to about 280.
Wow.
And we haven't even seen the destruction yet.
Wow.
All that we've seen is a change. We've seen a change since at the end of 2021 and in the beginning of 2022, we've seen a big change. And that change is the bursting of a bubble that's been created through abnormally low interest rates and unlimited money printing and credit over the last few decades. And as we all know, Dave, how that ends and how this will end. So creating your own gold standard will allow you to escape the bursting of this bubble, this debt bubble, without losing all of your money, where you could still stay financially intact. And that's what we're talking about, protecting your nest egg with physical gold and physical silver.
Yeah, over the past year, we have urged listeners to protect the value of their cash reserves and investments by shifting a good portion of those over to the safety and the value of precious metals like gold and silver and platinum. And we've said it before, you don't ever want to be in a financial position where you look at your investments or your cash reserves and you are forced to say, I wish I had, and then fill in the blank. We need to establish our very own gold standard to back up our wealth for retirement and to get us through the future economic storms. And we're going to continue with our topic, your personal gold standard, just a little bit later in the program. And we'll highlight several tangible ways that you can actually convert your wealth into the security of gold. First, though, a reminder that you are listening to The Gold Standard with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group. And coming up, we're going to take a look at a specific precious metal that you can use to safeguard your wealth. And that's coming up right after this.
At the start of 2022, you could invest in almost anything and make money. The stock market was still growing, real estate was high, and cryptocurrency was the rage. What a difference a year makes. 2023 is going to be a year of economic upheaval, according to many economists. Sebastian Gorka here. The Biden regime is pressing ahead with its leftist agenda, ignoring the growing signs of a recession. But many economists are warning of massive layoffs and huge stock market losses, which is why I recommend calling Midas Gold Group to safeguard your wealth with the stability of gold while you can. Gold holds its value when economies fail, guarding against the ravages of inflation and the ruin of a recession. Talk with veteran-owned Midas Gold Group. Go to MidasGoldGroup.com, or better yet, call 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD. It's gold you can hold. Call now, 855-322-GOLD.
And we're back with more of the Gold Standard brought to you by Midas Gold Group with Ken Russo. I'm Dave Deno, and our topic today is your personal gold standard. By the way, if you live in the Los Angeles or Phoenix area, we encourage you to visit our local office so that you can meet with us in person. You can see some of the gold product that we actually talk about here on the air. For the address and directions, log on to our website, MidasGoldGroup.com. MidasGoldGroup.com. MIDAS. For those of you listening in other cities, call us directly at 855-322-GOLD. 855-322-GOLD. By the numbers 855-322-4653. Now, it's time for our precious metal spotlight of the week, and today, Ken, let's talk about gold bars. I understand that gold bars actually make up a higher percentage of gold collections than gold coins. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a good question, Dave. You know, what's another good question is, do you know how many miles high of $100 bills, $31 trillion of debt would be?
No.
19,500 miles high of $100 bills. That's
Wow.
That's a lot of bills.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's what we're talking about, folks. And what can you do to protect yourself from that all coming down and the abuse that we've seen through printing money and debt? And one thing you can do is own gold bars. And in fact, Dave, gold bars are probably the world's most common form of gold ownership. It's partly because gold bars can range in different sizes, from as small as a gram, which we have, to as large as 400 ounces or more. And
Wow.
I mean, a gram of gold you could own for under $100. So you don't have to be a billionaire to diversify into gold, Dave, but you just have to have some insight, and you have to understand the writings on the wall on what's going to happen with our financial system here. You see those big gold ingots in the movies, Dave, those big gold bars. I think that we would all love to have a pallet of those somewhere in our possession or somewhere in our large safe.
Yeah, we would. So when buying gold bars, let's say we buy them as an individual, what do we normally want to be mindful of?
There's many things, but they should be quality company that makes the bars. Remember, most of the coins that are made are made by a government mint, but most of the bars that are produced are made by a private company. And most of the highest quality gold bars come from Switzerland. And we do offer education, and we offer information on those particular bars. Bars that are 1 ounce or smaller, Dave, are generally very easy to sell and very much the most common. And they actually get the highest price when you sell, because they're very much affordable by most people. So there's a lot of demand for small bars. There's also a possible scenario where we might need our gold or silver as money, so people like to have some smaller denominations when it comes to gold. Remember, to sell a very large bar, you may need to find someone with hundreds of thousands of dollars, Dave, to pay you, as it could be sold either all or none. It's not like you could shave a little piece of the bar off if you're going to need to liquidate a small portion of it. So we would encourage people to be diversified within their bars as well as coins and have different sizes. But remember, Dave, all of the bars that we involve ourselves with and our investors with, they have certain minimum purity levels. The gold bars in an IRA must be at least 99.5% pure, Dave. Most of the bars that Midas Gold Group deals with are 24 karat gold, the purest form of gold, and the definition of that is 4 nines, 99, 99. So you have nothing to worry about when it comes to purity, especially with the gold bars from Midas Gold Group. The bars, Dave, should have a unique serial number from the manufacturing unit or mint or a sayer. Serial bars are known as hallmark bars. Using the unique serial number, investors can verify, Dave, the authenticity directly with the manufacturer and be advised of any fraud alerts on any serial number. I would say that the most highly quality bar for this counterfeiting is probably PAMP, and they have a Veriscan technology. PAMP bars are of the highest quality and very, very nice to own. You could be very proud to own gold bars that are made by the PAMP mint. But all of the bars that we market and that we get our investors in to diversify all have the same high quality, Dave. The bars should bear a recognizable mint mark from a reputable mint known for its quality product. And like I said, all of the bars that we do, whether if it's a gram bar, 5 gram, 10 gram, 20 gram, 1 ounce, 50 gram, 100 gram, whatever, they're all of the highest quality, all very liquid, all a store of value, all a medium of exchange. And it's a very good way to own gold for a very conservative price.
And Ken, Midas Gold Group has a large selection of gold bars to choose from?
We do, and we have a lot of relationships with many of the main mints. We buy directly from them. We don't use middlemen. That kind of keeps the integrity of the process, and all of our bars are tested either by ourselves or by the mints themselves that we get them from. So that's the way a large organization, not a small little just coin shop. A lot of people who come in, they always say, well, I was expecting just a little place with a cabinet. And no, we don't do that. We are a major player when it comes to precious metals. We diversify very large portfolios, but we also cater to the local client as well, who may be just wanting to do a few $100 or a few $1,000. So it's for everyone. Everyone can diversify. Every single American right now, Dave, should be thinking about protecting a portion of their money. Every single American should be very worried right now about the stability of the purchasing power of our dollar. And every single American should be getting some gold to diversify today.
And we're going to talk more about that warning in just a moment. But coming up, we're going to continue our topic, Your Personal Gold Standard, with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group. And that's coming up right after this.
Looking ahead, you don't want to get several months into the new year and say, I wish I would have after a stock market meltdown. Sebastian Gorka here. You can start the year by securing the value of your cash reserves and investments, guarding them against what many are predicting will be a brutal year for the value of the dollar and a stock market meltdown. The economic signs are worrisome. I recommend calling Midas Gold Group to safeguard your wealth with the stability of gold. Gold holds its value when economies fail, with stocks and bonds crashing over 20% in 2022, gold has held its value. Those who converted to gold with Midas Gold Group created a hedge against the ravages of inflation. Go to MidasGoldGroup.com, or better yet, call 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-GOLD. It's gold you can hold. Call right now, 855-322-GOLD, or go to MidasGoldGroup.com.
And we're back with more of The Gold Standard, brought to you by Midas Gold Group with Ken Russo. I'm Dave Deno. Our topic today is Your Personal Gold Standard. As we have been saying, if you live in the Los Angeles or Phoenix area, you can actually come and visit our local office and meet with us in person. For the address and directions, just log on to our website, MidasGoldGroup.com, M-I-D-A-S, MidasGoldGroup.com. For those of you listening in other cities, call us directly at 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD. By the numbers 855-322-4653. Now, let's get back to our topic. Ken, this idea of creating your own gold standard, it really intrigues me. How much of a person's cash reserves or investments are you recommending they convert into gold or silver? What percentage?
Well, always a relevant question, Dave. And, if the price of gold is going to work, if it's going to reflect what our paper money loses in purchasing power, gold should be $5,000 or $10,000 per ounce in the next 5 to 10 years, I would say pretty easily, and silver should be $100 or $200 per ounce. That's great. But I would urge people to think about the risk. And right now, the risk in the markets of paper, stocks, bonds, annuities, mutual funds, is as high as it's ever been. So I would encourage people to think about maybe a little bit more diversification and a little bit more safety than possibly what they've thought about in the past. I would encourage people to think about 25 to 50% of their paper assets right now to protect in precious metals, in gold, because things are so stretched, because the bubble is so inflated, because the Federal Reserve Bank is on a mission to raise interest rates and to fight inflation in any way possible. And we all know that they're either severely behind the curve or they're going to possibly do way too much. There's never going to be a soft landing, which everyone is praying for right now, buying risky assets in the hope that the Federal Reserve could come up with a safe landing, a smooth landing, right? They have a Goldilocks scenario. Well, folks, there's not going to be anything that's going to be Goldilocks about this situation. This is going to be a very severe result of decades of printing money and decades of debt and abuse of the financial system by our politicians and by our central bankers that have done an absolute ridiculous, embarrassing job when it comes to our money. And if people really understood, Dave, what their money was worth and what it was buying or what it could be worth in 5 or 10 years from now, everyone would be running to the bank to take out a significant portion of their money. And folks, yes, there's not enough money at the bank if everybody showed up and tried to take it out at the same time. So obviously the media doesn't want to talk about how dangerous our dollar is. The media doesn't want to talk about how dangerous our stock market is or how much our bond market is imploding right before our eyes. Bonds had one of the worst years last year since 1871. So, the party's over, folks. It was a nice joyride while it lasted, but it's time to buckle down, and it's time to get some money out of this system. Create your own gold standard. Remember, our dollar and our money, Dave, went off the gold standard completely in 1971. So our money is backed by nothing. And that was a nice little coup for the government to give themselves permission to print as much money as they wanted to without having to have any gold to back it up. Remember, folks, gold used to back up our US dollar. Now it's just called a Federal Reserve note. Take out a bill of your pocket. Says it right on it. Federal Reserve note. It's backed by nothing except debt that is so enormous. There's only one way for that to go. It's a house of cards, and eventually it's going to cave in. So, like I said, you want to try and get as much money out of that system. Try to pare down your risk as much as you can, Dave. And I would just encourage people to have a little bit more gold and a little bit more silver these days than ever, because their risks are that much greater.
This is something that I have done for my family's security, and you at Midas Gold Group made the step-by-step process really, really easy to follow with the help of your experienced staff there at Midas. So I'm thankful for that. And a reminder here that you are listening to The Gold Standard with Ken Russo from Midas Gold Group. Today, our topic is your personal gold standard. And Ken, I have one last question for you. How can I have confidence in the value of gold?
Well, it's done better in the last 20 years than any other paper financial asset out there, Dave. It's been money for 3,000 years. It's always had value, going all the way back to the Roman Empire. Kings own gold, slaves own debt. I mean, that's the situation that we're in. So I would urge people to understand that regardless of who promotes what products or what your banker or what your advisor is telling you to own, or being diversified does not mean having mutual funds, stocks, and bonds, and cash. That is not diversified. It's all paper and it's all dollars. I would urge people to understand that there's always been one form of true money, and that's gold.
And that is going to bring us to the end of our time together here on The Gold Standard with Ken Russo, brought to you by Midas Gold Group. A reminder, opinions given here are not intended to be specific to your investment strategy, but rather general information to give you a better understanding of investing in precious metals. For answers to your questions, call Midas Gold Group, as Ken has indicated. Call them at 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD. If you want to write that down by the numbers, it's 855-322-4653. And the website is MidasGoldGroup.com, M-I-D-A-S, MidasGoldGroup.com. The Midas Gold Group is proud to be America's #1 veteran-owned gold dealer, supporting veterans' causes with a portion of profits donated to the Wounded Warriors Project and the Semper Fi Fund. So your investment in your future is also an investment in the future of those who have bravely served the cause of freedom. Again, the number to call to speak directly with Midas Gold Group is 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD. Hey, Ken, thank you again for your time today.
Yeah, you can't fix a debt problem by issuing more debt, right, Dave? But, have a good day and until next week.
It's always a pleasure to talk with you. It's always informative as well. I'm Dave Deno. Come and join us again next week at this same time for another edition of The Gold Standard.
The Gold Standard was brought to you by the Midas Gold Group.